At Arlington's tomb of the unknown soldier, a thug's reckless challenge meets the strong will of a tomb guard. A fight that will leave you speechless ends with one blow, broken teeth, and a lesson in respect. The grave of the unknown soldier is a hallowed monument at Arlington National Cemetery, where white headstones stretch like motionless sentinels across rolling hills. The tomb guardians keep an eye on the heroes whose names were lost in war. They march 21 exact steps every day and night, no matter what the weather is like. Stop, turn, and march again. Every movement is a vow, and every step is in tribute to sacrifice. Please tell us where you're watching from in the comments section before we go ahead with this tale. If you appreciate stories like this, subscribe to the channel because we have another unique story for you tomorrow. Corporal Ethan Sullivan is one of those guards who keeps watch on an October afternoon when golden leaves drift on a cold breeze. His boots are shiny, his weapon is polished to a mirror shine, and his clothing is perfect. His face, which has been through a lot of conflicts distant from this holy site, is now weathered at 30. Ethan, whose brothers in arms call him Hawk, is not an ordinary soldier. He used to be a Navy SEAL and has seen the chaos in Afghanistan, heard the screams of the wounded, and felt guilty for not being able to save them. He guards the tomb now not for fame, but for a friend whose face still haunts him. There aren't many people at Arlington today. It's a mix of respectful visitors and curious tourists. Families take pictures, veterans stand quietly and think, while a group of college students gather near the grave to make TikToks. Sarah is one of them. She is a history major who is good at seeing the deeper meaning in settings like this. She nudges her pal and whispers, "You guys, this place is holy. We should probably put our phones down for a minute." Her friends shrug and listen half-heartedly as they try to get better photos. Harold Thompson, a 75-year-old Vietnam veteran, leans on his cane and stares at the tomb. His worn hands hold on to a faded picture of his former platoon, the ones who never made it home. He whispers to himself, "You boys rest easy. We're still here for you." A huge person pushes through the gathering, breaking the hushed reverence. Vince Russo, 35, approaches the tomb. He is built like a linebacker and is twice as vicious. A brass knuckle ring shines in his pocket and makes noise when he walks. His dragon tattoo snakes down his arm. Vince is a street thug and a washed-up boxer who can't fight cleanly anymore. He makes ends meet by fighting in bars and making lousy bets. His friends dared him to fight one of those pretentious tomb guards last night over cheap whiskey. Are they just dolls for the parade? Vince laughed and hit the table with his fist. "I'll show him who's in charge now." His ego is as huge as his fist, and now he's coming to prove it. Vince's voice cuts through the quiet of the graveyard. "Hey, look at this guy." He points at Ethan, who is in the middle of a march and steps like a metronome. Looks like a stupid wind-up toy. The crowd moves around awkwardly. Sarah frowns and puts down her phone. She says, "Dude, show some respect." Vince rotates around with a smile. "Why should I respect you? This clown is putting on a show." He laughs loudly and grades, and his friends tell him to do it. Harold tightens his grasp on his cane and mutters, "The punk doesn't know what he's doing." Ethan, on the other hand, doesn't move. His eyes stay fixed on the front, and his face is a mask of concentration. But memories flash in his mind. A drive through the desert, an explosion, and the dead eyes of his comrade. He pulls them down, breathing steadily, and knowing what he has to do. Vince walks closer, not caring about the chain fence enclosing the tomb. He stands in Ethan's way, arms crossed and chest out. "Hey, little soldier, what's going on? Are you too terrified to speak?" Ethan marches forward, his boots clicking on the pavement. He takes 21 steps, stops, turns, and marches back. He goes right by Vince, hardly even looking at him. The crowd is holding their breath. Vince's face is red. "Hey, I'm talking to you." He gets closer, and his shadow falls on Ethan. "Are you deaf or just stupid?" Sarah spoke softly to her friends. "This guy is going to hurt himself." Harold nods his head slowly. "Yes, he is." Vince's anger grows because Ethan won't talk. People are used to backing down when they see how big and tough he is. But this guard, this nobody in a nice suit, acts like he doesn't exist. Vince leans in, and Ethan can feel his hot breath on his face. "You think you're strong, huh? I could break you like a twig." Ethan's eyes don't move, but a muscle in his jaw does. Another memory comes back. A gunfight, bullets flying, and his friend yelling, "Hawk, get down!" He blinks it away and holds on to his rifle. People in the crowd are murmuring. Some are backing away while others are taking out their phones to record. Sarah shakes her head. "This is so wrong." Vince plays to the audience, since he knows they are watching. Look at this, everyone. Mr. Robot hears two chickens fighting. He chuckles and throws an empty Coke can at the tomb. It makes a noise on the marble and then stops. Gas ripples across the throng. Harold steps up and speaks sharply. Son, you're on holy ground. Step back before you regret it. Vincey laughs. Shut up, old man. You want to leave too? Sarah leaps in, her voice shaking yet strong. Leave him alone. This isn't a game. Vince pushes her shoulder. Not hard, but hard enough to make her lose her balance. Her pals catch her and give her a dirty look. Hey, calm down, man, one says. Vince doesn't pay attention to them and turns back to Ethan. You hear that, soldier? Your fan club is crying for you. Vince takes the brass knuckle ring out of his pocket and puts it on his fist. It shines in the fading light, weighty and harsh. It's time to teach you a lesson. He grins and raises his fists. Ethan is still marching, and his steps are steady, but his senses are sharper. He has been here before, but not in Arlington. He has been in worse places, like a street in Kabul, with a knife flashing, and a split-second option. He knows the type, bullies like Vince, who talk a lot but don't do anything. The whispers in the audience get louder. Where's security? Someone yells. Someone else says quietly, that guard is going to get hurt. Vince steps over the chain fence, and stands only inches from Ethan's path. Okay, tough man, let's dance. Ethan stops, turns, and walks to the finish of his march. For a few seconds, his eyes meet Vince's, not with fear but with something colder and harder, a warning. Vince doesn't notice it. He can't stop smiling, and his fist is cocked back like a rifle. Everyone in the crowd stops talking, and looks at the two men. Sarah holds on to her friend's arm. Oh my God, he's going to hit him. Harold leans in and speaks softly. Kids are about to learn the hard way. Time moves more slowly. Vince swings, the brass knuckles cutting through the air, and shooting right for Ethan's jaw. The punch is wild and sloppy. It has a lot of power, but not a lot of skill. The crowd thinks it looks cruel and unstoppable. But Ethan isn't a statue. He's a seal, thus he knows how to move like a ghost and hit like a hammer. He moves to the side in a flash, and his body flows like water. The fist misses and barely touches the air where his face was a second before. Vince loses his footing, and his eyes get bigger. Ethan moves before he can get better. His fist snaps out, and a blur of motion hits Vince's jaw. The crack sounds horrible, like a branch breaking in a hurricane. Teeth fly through the air, glinting as they hit the ground and spilling blood in their path. Vince falls down, a pile of muscle and pride, with his hands clutching at his mouth. He yells, a slimy cry that doesn't make sense, as blood bubbles between his fingers. The brass knuckle ring rolls away, useless, and makes a noise against the marble. The crowd goes wild, and the gas turns to cheers. Sarah's mouth drops open. Did you see that? Her pal, who is shocked, nods. That was crazy. Harold laughs, a dry, happy sound. I told you, the boy chose the wrong fight. Ethan, not bothered, steps back into place and continues his march. 21 paces, a halt, and a turn. His clothing is spotless, and his face is hard to read, yet there is a small drip of sweat on his temple. His heart is racing inside, but not because he's scared, it's because of what he's just done. Vince gets up from the ground, spitting blood and pieces of teeth. His eyes go from the crowd to Ethan, who is standing there. He attempts to talk, but all he can do is moan. My teeth. You broke my teeth. Ethan doesn't say anything. He holds his weapon on his shoulder and walks steadily. The crowd's cheers get louder, a flood of amazement and respect. One woman in the back yells, "That's what you get." Another veteran, who has a silver star on his jacket, nods. Good job, son. Sarah is filming now, and her voice is wobbly but strong. This has to go viral. This is something people need to see. 2 security guards from Arlington push through the crowd, their radios crackling. Sir, stay down, one of them says, kneeling next to Vince. The other person shakes his head and snatches the brass knuckle ring. You're in a lot of trouble, friend. They put handcuffs on Vince, who is still groaning and has lost his arrogance. Instead, he is in anguish and shame. They pull him to his feet, and he staggers, blood spilling from his clothes. Some people in the crowd laugh, while others stay quiet and look at Ethan. He keeps walking, his beat steady. He is a living monument to service. Harold observes with a proud look on his face. That's a real soldier, he remarks to no one in particular. Vince's head is down and his swagger is gone as the guards take him away. Sarah puts her phone down and turns to her friends. I'm putting this up, but not to get attention. People need to understand what this sight signifies. Her companion agrees. Yeah, and what happens if you mess with the wrong guy? They look at Ethan, who is now reaching the end of his march. His shadow is crisp against the lowering light. People start to go, but the spirit stays. Shock adoration, and a deeper respect for a man who didn't need words to show how strong he was. As the noise dies down, Harold limps toward the tomb and stops near the barrier. He takes a single white rose out of his jacket and puts it carefully on the stone. He whispers, "For you boys," and his eyes fill with tears. He then looks at Ethan, who is still moving, and says, "And thank you, Hawk." Sarah and her friends stay behind and converse softly. Sarah says, "I didn't get it before. This place, what it means, but now I do." Her friend, who is typically the funny one, nods. "That guard is the real deal." They leave. Sarah was already writing a blog entry in her brain about respect, sacrifice, and a lesson learned in blood and shattered teeth. Ethan's shift is almost over, but he doesn't stop. 21 steps, a pause and a turn. The sky turns orange and gold as the sun sets. A new guard is coming up, ready to take over. But Ethan never loses his focus. He's not just protecting a tomb, he's protecting a pledge to those who gave everything. The crowd is gone now, except for a few people who are still there, but their whispers can still be heard. "Did you see that hit? This guy is a legend." Ethan doesn't hear any of it. The beat of his steps, the weight of his gun, and the memory of a comrade who never made it home are all parts of his reality. Vince is in a holding cell kilometers away, sitting on a metal bench with a swollen face and a broken mouth. The police are talking about crimes like assault, trespassing, and maybe more. He can't find the friends who dared him. He looks at the blood on his hands, which hurts with every heartbeat. He feels little for the first time, not because of the cuffs but because of the man who hurt him. Nor with rage, nor with display, but with one beautiful hit. Vince says, "I didn't know. I didn't realize he was like that." The police officer snorts. "Should have thought twice before getting into a fight with a tomb guard." The cemetery at Arlington becomes quiet as the last tourists go as the sun sets. Ethan finishes his last march and gives his post a crisp salute. The new guard comes in, and Ethan steps back. His face is still blank, but his shoulders are a little more relaxed. He walks past Harold, who is still near the tomb. The old man looks him in the eye and slowly nods. "You did well, son. Very good." Ethan stops and speaks in a hushed voice. "I'm just doing my job, sir." Harold grins. "More than that, you taught him how to stand up straight." Ethan approaches to the guard post, and the weight of the day starts to hit him. He thinks about his friend who died and wonders if he would have liked it. He has a small smile on his lips. "Yeah, you would." He looks back to the tomb, which is gleaming marble under the first stars. He isn't here to fight or get fame. He's here for them. The unknowns, the dead, the ones who gave it everything. And now, he stood up for their honor with a fist that shouted louder than any words. The story spreads like stories do. Sarah's video goes viral and gets millions of views. There are a lot of comments saying, "That guard is a hero. That guy got what he deserved." News organizations pick it up and label it a lesson in respect. Kids at school talk about the tomb guard who knocked out a thug with one punch. Even if they don't know his name, veterans raise their glasses to Hawk Sullivan at VFW halls. And the tomb at Arlington is still there, silent and forever, watched after by men like Ethan, who carry the weight of a nation's thanks. This story is about a soldier in a fight, when quiet was broken and honor was protected. It is about one punch thrown not out of rage but out of respect. So the next time you're in Arlington and see those exact steps, keep in mind that the tomb guard is more than just a symbol. He is a warrior, made strong by fire and linked by honor. Tell the narrative not for the drama, but for the lesson. That bravery isn't always loud, and sometimes people who have earned respect have to enforce it. And if you're dumb enough to try him, you might end up with a few fewer teeth and a story you'll never forget. At the tomb of the unknown soldier, respect is not an option. It's what you have to pay to stand on holy ground. Keep an eye on the guard. Count the steps and remember that there is a voice behind every silent march that says, "This matters."